All right. So, and I typically want to play in this mode. So today we're looking at the drums in a more holistic sense, in that you really haven't studied feet. And just for transparency purposes, we just went through the whole thing and realized that there was a ghost in the machine, and we didn't get it recorded. So I'm going to give you a really brief recap so that you have it, and so that whoever might be interested has it. Because as we were saying, different cities have different propensities. Even a distinction between going from Toronto to Montreal. It's a different scene, and the focus is on different aspects of drumming, perhaps. There was nobody in Toronto that ever taught me this. I had to go to Dick Wilson, and as I told you, you would take a foot lesson, and you'd show up, and the cobwebs were part of the decor, and he'd pull out that bass drum from under his grand piano, covered in sheet music, and it'd be full of dust, and you'd sit there for a half an hour while he dusted it off. Everything was kind of in slow motion. And so he'd have his specific pedal. He would use that hi-hat with the springs on the outside, one from France originally. And so we'll just go over what I described to you. The whole thing typically starts, well, you can see what we ended up doing at that hang earlier today was I explained to you that a lot of what's going on in the hands in terms of making a motion is going on in the feet, right? Because there are many similarities, and yet it's a bass drum pedal. So would you call it a throw? I don't think so. And as I said, is this a throw? It's some kind of, maybe it's the throwing of a ball only modified so it's much smaller, so maybe it is a throw. But there are similarities because we're making a motion, right? And you went to play, and what we discovered was that you had a little bit different, that you had not so bad an ankle turn, but first I couldn't get you to come back further than this. So I explained to you that we don't want the foot all the way forward. It would have you place that foot, depending on the pedal. You're using a DW as I am, but it's a different model. I'm about 2.5 inches from where the linkage meets the pedal itself, the footboard. Okay? And so what we're doing is we're creating a position. Our foot is glued to the pedal, and we're creating a position. It's a floor. It's akin to what we have going on in the hands. I'm going to talk about the similarities, but there are distinctions. So let's keep that in mind, okay? But we have a floor. And here we've created what is, would you call it a floor? A starting position? Here I'm 1/2 inch bead to, as I am bead to butt end in the hands with the stick, I'm 1/2 inch bead to, batter to beater ball. Not a ball anymore, and so we maintain that position, and then we're going to turn our ankle. What we're going to do is just relax the toes, spread them out, let them hang out, because we're turning the ankle. We're not using our toes, just like we're not using our fingers typically if we're turning our wrists. Okay, so we're going to make a strike. We're going to all the way back. There you go. Okay, you're stopping right at position. All right. and you were successful. Then we talked about pedal tightness. And I mentioned that it seems like every time in Toronto, I grew up with the idea that, you know, you should have a loose pedal. It's kind of a thing there, it seems. When I go back, the house kits, the pedal's always really loose. And I go to hang out with people and their pedals are really loose. And okay, so that might be right for a different technique. For this technique, that's not what we want. And I explained to you why. Because now we're going to, and I mentioned to you as well, that I came from Toronto having pretty good, I played flat-footed. I couldn't figure out how to play heel up, not really. And I went to Dick Wilson and took some feet lessons. And so when I came into him, he said I had really very good, I was very good flat-footed, as good as, or better than some of the names in town. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Seriously? So, but when it came to playing heel up, forget about it. And that's what we discovered with you. Okay? You went to play heels up. Perhaps we'll duplicate what you couldn't do. I explained to you that we want to roll up. The ball of the foot is glued to the pedal. Just relax your toes. They're glued to the pedal as well. And we don't put all the way back to the heel plate. We're about a quarter of an inch away, perhaps. Half an inch, quarter of an inch, right? And I explained to you that first, you're going to leave that beater off of the head and leave it in that starting position, say at that quarter inch away from the head, so that we have, as like Richard Martinez describes for making a downstroke, we're moving around a fixed point in the universe, aren't we? Right? We're just doing that, see? That, and that, that, and that. Now, as I explained, and again, this is a foot pedal and a foot. This is a hand and a stick, so there are distinctions. But here are the similarities. When I go up, isn't the upper arm akin to the upper leg, right? So that when I roll up, remember we're not lifting, and I've said over and over, we don't lift the arm. It's as if you're leveraging around that fixed point in the universe, just like with the foot. Okay, so the upper arm has swiveled out. In a sense, it's gone up a little bit, just like the upper leg. And then the calf area is akin to the forearm. And look, just as the calf goes up, so does the forearm. Right? And as well, the wrist has gone up, just like the ankle has gone up. Okay? Okay? So there's that similarity. And then I taught you how to make a throw. You see, they're similar. Now there's a connectivity between hand and foot. You went, and I started off by showing you this simple motion. We're half an inch, quarter of an inch away from the surface as I move around that fixed point in the universe, and that beater should stay pretty much where it's supposed to stay, right there at the floor, okay? And you were able to do that. Go ahead and do that for me. Come on, now, you didn't want to really roll up. That's the other thing we learned. You weren't very flexible. I'm really quite far away. There you go. Roll all the way up, there, and then come down, right? And so then I explained to you that that's essentially the up and down motion, and that now you're just going to make a strike. Don't do it yet, because I taught you how to do it. But first, when you went to make a strike, you went, and your heel didn't come down, remember? Go ahead and duplicate what you did wrong. Well, now you're doing it more right. Yeah, you can't even see what I mean? It feels weird. Here's what you were doing. Here's what you were doing. You were making a tap, and nothing came down. You roll up, and then you tap, and then you come down. What do I do? How how do I get back down? And I said, it's the same way you get back down when you make a throw. I told you don't shove down. Would you shove down from here when you have all this weight? It comes from the ankle, and you're taking advantage of this weight, just like with a throw, taking advantage of the weight that you're gaining for free, because you're not lifting the arm. Okay, so I had you make a strike. Go ahead and make a strike. Roll up. Oh. Go on, make a strike. You got to make a strike. Come on, make a strike. Okay, so it's cool that we've gotten back together, because we'll smooth a few things out. So to help you get that, here's what I did. I had you is that any better? I had you roll up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You should probably say it. Down, up, down. I'm saying it. Up, and then when you're ready, you feel that motion. You're just going to time it so that you make a strike, right? And just like with the throw, everything is countervailing. As you go down, this is going up. And then when you go up, this is going down. And it's not till the very last second that the two catch up with each other. And you get that whipping motion, right? You have to time it. You have to time that. Right? Then I said, with this technique, we also don't have a problem with burying the beater in the head. That's something that is blasphemous in some techniques, perhaps. But once you gain control, whether it's just off the head or it's on the head, look, off, on, off, 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 on. Not that much of a on, not that much of a difference. See? So we're going to leave the beat on the head, and we're going to go up and down. Up, down. There's a timing, isn't there? See, these I'm vocalizing the up to down because it has a timing. Down, up, down, doom, chicka, blacka, chicka, up, down, up. There's a timing. And then when you're ready, you're going to make a note. You're going to come up once, down, up, note, up, down, no note, up, note, up, down, up, note. Can't be a glitch. It's got to be totally smooth. You can change the timing, and you don't have to lift your leg to do it. You just have to turn your ankle a little faster. Almost, not bad. Okay? So kind of got the idea. And notice that for something like this, because we make throws in several different ways, right? You know, how much does that beat really come up when we make a throw? Or does it have to come up that way? Or will it be more quiet? You see, this is different because it's not an arm and a hand, fingers holding a stick, and yet there's this motion that we're making. But you'll notice that when I make this motion, I'm not coming up very much. I'm not turning very much. There's no time. This is heavy. I'm coming up. See the timing? I have to time it. Here's it slowly. Here's it more fast. Right? There you go. Not bad. You're getting more flexible. And I chided you and I said, Joe, you really didn't have any feet. There was no connectivity between what you were learning with stick in hand on snare drum or practice pad with what you're doing with your feet. And I told you that Dick would say a drummer without feet, forget it, right? It's a big deal because it's our, in a sense, it's our foundation. I explained to you that the bass drum, even if it's a rock thing, doesn't have to be that loud. It's about its stability. He'd call it a pat. He'd call the backbeat a blat. And he said guys would be knocked out because it wasn't how loud I played my backbeat. It was that it always landed in the same place, with the same, it was very consistent, same volume, right at the core of the note, same place, every time. So it's not necessarily how loud, but there's a feeling, so that when you're making motions with your hands, your feet can be making motions in opposite directions. All kinds of crazy things can happen. And it will change your playing, right? These motions that we're learning with the hands, you know, I keep wanting to play. I want to play. I want to play traditional. I think I'm making motion. There's a timing. There's a continuity. So, for instance, if I play a roll stroke and then make a motion for an accent and go to a cymbal, my foot can catch that accent by making a motion so that there's a unification between hands and feet and mind. Okay, so that now there is, it's more holistic. Okay, which will help you play in a much more settled, centered way, right? So I hope that was a appropriate recap. I think we kind of captured the salient aspects.
Yeah.
Okay. You're just gonna.
We've salvaged this. We've got all the details.
Good, good. And so you're looking much better. Are you sure you're from Toronto? I'm not buying. Cool, Joe. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Okay, good. Make sure we save it.